strength potions. They're the likeliest to affect your blood sugar. This isn't fair, said Arnaud, only feeling free when pushing limits. What's diabetes? Shut up. What goes with the rest of the misspelling? We're going to use them to clean the toilets for giants and blow up the infestation of idiot lions. 3 birds, outstanding tit, were sitting on the balcony. Fubar started inflating the one in the middle with a flick of the wrist and wand. Look at the flick of the wrist. He's not going to land, you oaf titnave, said Safra. He's just going to release some pressure. Fubar, surprisingly dominant against the weak, deflated the tit and it farted like butt magicians. While drunk, you can still make strong nerd potions. Make it matter more towards our grades. It works through your adrenaline system, putting in something like blood fire through electric. Gives you more endurance than strength, like an animal stronger than humans. When you put in more than 12 repetitions, it's endurance and will improve. So put in more than 12 Boutenfava beans. What's the amount over 12 beans? More than 12. But what's the amount?
Oh yes, it is. Can't check your
More than 12. What if I
I
put in
will
curry
see your
vanilla stock?
balls.
No, Nigel, you won't improve any recipes like this. I know it's powerful.
Sauce.
Nigel felt sad when he should have felt improvement. The secondary ingredient must fit with a first and fourth we can see on a table here. Magically, it will fold up on page 50. There is biology, magical theory we learned in magical basics, biology and potions. There is a system to magical potions just like there is to magic. There is logic and exceptions. If you get the secondary ingredient wrong, your cock explodes when doing arcane, boosting potions. Alforer stopped a bit silly, and stupidly, you'd wonder why a teacher stopped and considered. It is exceptions, like in quantum physics, the cat is dead and alive depending on if we look, depending on when, and sometimes we don't know why potions can have alternating effects. Effects can depend on an event, triggered by eccentric probability. Potions can explode and expire based on speed and dimensional points, just aligning.
Yo, what's up, YouTube?
That's probably it then, isn't, said James. If there's something from there, there's a lot. It is chaos, thought James, but everything is probably predictable, he thought, promising. We have potions made with metals, half-metals, non-metals, and biological, or alive things, weight and confined states. It is all predictable. On atomic levels, we see extra functions. Each atom of the wilds can have 1, 2 mirrors, filling up predictability and confined chaos. Unless for a few exceptions, said Arnaud. He made things more complicated. Everyone considered their necessary ability in stress. How can there be metals with properties that are not metals? They are alternating abilities between. Then metals are not metals. Metals don't alternate. Consider exceptions to perfect framework of worlds. She would not consider anything that didn't fit into a system. Through sharp and intelligent. She would not be ready for anything out of school through confiding in order, rules and details, confused by realities. I think the biological particle is very interesting.
It is purple.
Stop Alhoot from talking about the biological particle. Try reminding him that he didn't get top grades in potions last year. The biological particle can add predictability to confined predictability. The 4 outcomes of grave poisons, then 16, then 22. We will learn to make use of the grave potions it can turn into, capitalizing on the random. We have enough time. Here's a potion that's going to make you fancy me over Ulrich Vogelmann. Potion that gives you 20 more IQ temporarily, called Greedy Scholar, and there are more points if you really master potions. Wow, now you know what it's like to have 20 IQ, Arnaud. Not to sound stupid, but what about permanence? There's a legendary spell in Tier 13 Ridiculous Magic that makes you smarter through calories and temporary sanity, lost James. Try your best, and good luck, Sonny. Indeed, he needed his top possible grade. Outrageous outstanding in potions and a legendary item to apply to this VUE student class. There was a black and white goth-like mate with hollow stare into distraction, raven on his shoulder. Elderly wizard with 5-star beard that looked smart, necromancer looking elite robes with black shoulder skulls. There was a wizard concerned with turning meat pies into gold. ardent mithril scales from a magical metal mithril dragon, and the extinct steel centaur. We have enough metal sheets in the magical storage. I already have it. It was sprawled, but I didn't kill the dragon. Voice knowledge kills a mithril dragon, said teacher guard, demanding too much and the most of him. He had bent wizard hat with a clan sigil. Merlin class wizard ardent, and with such long beard and sausage, mustaches down mixing, it was 75 centimeters into his beard. He looked elite like lethal. I wonder if things would be different had he no beard, nor sausage, mustache. You need reanimation, 10 through healing at final class. Or nowadays, we just restore the scales into a mithril malicious sphere ourselves. It's a one-time thing. The elderly wizard blasted the hovering scales with power. It violently changed, purified. With spiritual like magic, half healing, you must keep connection with the sphere. Keep it with you. It whispers to the smart like faint potential. Yes, it will start to transform and give insanity. Keep the connection with life
After
force and
potential
magical
is
healing like the
sauce.
shaman druids do. You can't overdo it. You'll turn lost.
You can't
If
overdo
you
it
succeed
if you're a
today,
person.
students expect to gain 4 IQ per
What?
year. That's 40 in 10 years. James practiced the shaman healing technique. It required brains like reading about quantum physics, like it could be explained longer. Let's try it thus. Blast on. James did everything genius properly, understanding like he was a leg up in every unknown science. Afterwards, he was exhausted like he had tried some new experimental medicine. Navigating with less sanity took time. I want to deep fry your raven snort, James said. Kidding maybe. Very good, James. Ho ho. Eat a protein bar. Conspiracy theories seemed likelier and all connected. He was disconnected to reality, like he had bad memory. He had strange pushes into personalities, split and convincing. His body warning him it might be a mistake to go in this direction. The government was definitely fake and unnecessary. I'll do this before I go to sleep. My dreams will be insane. There's a new experimental spell that uses up muscle to make you smarter. What would you sacrifice for IQ? There's a spell that allows you to pull infinite food from a Babylon hamster. The infinity allows for more impossible things, like turning a copy into something real. What kind of food? A baguette, a French kind of bread. I don't believe you. Too macabre. The wizard got upset and would bless his journeys to prove he was right. French white wine, whiskey, and wheat. This tier, 13 ridiculous magic, is all I expected. His hamster was coughing cutely. Look, said the masterful wizard, and pulled a bottomless bread. Maybe there's a limit to the infinite cheeks. Has anyone ever tried to scientifically discover the limit? I've seen a guy put a Mum's Ford piano he was going to carry with him into his red-black hamster. The hamster looked upset, inflexible, honestly. I can envision people switching with the hamsters. Don't be presumptuous. They are infinite. Teleportation class, thus. Greetings, unhurt classmates. Aged like a cheese, there was a wizard with insane eyes, white mustaches 1 meter to right and left 1 meter beard like 3 thick arrows, bigger in the middle. Archwizard Pegasus, the no unicorn horn rider. You wondered if he was sane and competent, but enthralled, yet he quickly convinced you, turning you into the same high energy wavelength like Tom Cruise. Terribly useful teleportation is, it's all about mana costs 1 student coined. I gave him an F. There is a worse grade than F, said James. Yes, there is S for Schnauzer. There are many mythical grades for students dragging the magical bottom, said Pegasus. There are some special incantations required for going different places. Top students as you are, requiring all the smart classes. I love my job. Soon things will click like scything dollar grass. You will start to just teleport, most of them with just thought and gesticulation. Never start doubting your ability to teleport just with thought. That's where you start going places like Florida.
Oh yes, I love getting smart with turmeric to
What's
cumin.
Florida? It's the worst state. Not even Satan visits Jacksonville. Jesus Christ. They say it's the way it is because Satan leaves it alone.
Sauce.
People are higher energy whimsical from Florida than California. At least the band Abiotic comes from Florida. They're not the same. It doesn't count. My friend banishes people to Jacksonville. We do not speak of it, answered Pagist. Maybe you should go to another class. I'm going to write this down. I don't care about this class. I'm just going to use vials to teleport. Pagist teleported behind him. With that attitude, you will only learn scrapes. Imagine how much money you're going to save cutting your own hair. I mean, teleporting yourself. Let's learn to teleport to the main entrance of Solgar Docks. It is easy to learn. Pagist squatted and put his hands on knees. Circumference, radius, radiator. Left was a purple-white cocoon, very faint hovering, crunching like electrical errors. He's gone. I'd better go down to check if he's there. Our nose started running. Pagist teleported back with his hands on hips, elbows out. You can absolutely work on making teleports, putting them in flasks or better scrolls. Wizards do it and feel no shame. I don't want to work with something so repetitive. Making money for someone is 90% repetition, and 90% of work is making money for someone. You can always make something worse with perspective chat. Where is our no class? There are brackets, nets of modern locations to visit, the more populous, usually easier the spell. You can access it now in your mind. Say it or think Solgardoc. James, for example, entered a large 3D rotating university destination in his mind. Population 8.400, connected to warrior orc nests. The multitude, elven archipelago inspirations, and practical college university atoms. Squat and put your hands on knees, cross fingers. The class disappeared like thoughts about dinner. 10 minutes later, try practicing just thinking about the stance and crossing your fingers. This is how they do it. Hello, monsieur. There was a smashing blonde with eyes of piercing will and a bit of intelligence. She had hair like glamorous and wide cheekbones. She had a revealing black and lilac dress that told of an unreachable class, for most people anyway.
Unreachable hamster.
Enthralling like a walking dream,
Plus.
like a punch and sharp fashion. Reality is just a fiction of our sight mostly. Welcome to our magical grand opulence. There is skill in your voice, I can see. She seemed interested in him, like
I was
generosity.
also in my mind.
James knew just what to do,
This forgive
unfairly
me,
thus
YouTube
handsome.
poop thing.
You're striking in.
Eye of sauce.
But then Claire touched him, affirming greetings with 3 fingers on his shoulder. James was going through something lulling, fighting it like the brain does intuition losing. There was something he should have paid attention to. He was in a golden shopping district, like a treasure room, being a handsome bag-carrying toy. 3 pink bags in each hand. He was looking different too, fitting in suits with the surroundings. He understood he must hurry to the outstanding shops. There Claire walked in. Everything was so interesting. She was changing clothes into golden dresses like a fish, mage clothes and swimming gear. Unbelievable. Do you like what you see? James exited the golden dimension and returned, not really being there the first second. She removed her 3 fingers from him and seemed cold. Something social gave up like a goth as she was exhausted. You have an eye for detail. Is that the only thing you have? There is magic that can transport thus anywhere, like to a cozy golden pillow infestation. I can't wait to learn it. Some destinations can only be reached with teleportation, some small island cities. I am an expert on these magics soon. I have punched my way to Ironjar. This is only the North Pole? I love teleportation. Dark, light, and fire magic. Her voice started to cast a spell on him, like he was underwater. He was mesmerized. I have a lodge of artwork, Gormon compliances, and poetry. There's a way you move like I would fit into a painting. I would love to see your lodge, she said, and moved on to the next for some compelling reason, concerned with getting on. James was a victim like anyone and thought of this interesting person. Should have listened to his resolution, maybe. James went to the argument clinic in the West Lodge of the university, past the crystal apple trees and stack of pompered hamsters. They were content in the pen, getting through important copies and arguments, enjoying the sandbath. There seemed to be an indecisive dynasty philosopher's door, and in the next door, people strangling fake psychologists as therapy, which ironically was led by a very awarded, terrible psychologist. Contemporary accountants, accountancy theory psychologists who get stressed out from responsibility and can't define anything. Breakdancing, butlers, and anger management bakers. I can just say I'm in the wrong room, thought James. The psychologists were still doing the ape treatment, howling and throwing shit. How do you do against anxiety? Said James to the psychologist. Yodeling or anguished, screaming therapy. All right. As he closed the door to the psychologist, he threw a banana at the door. It stuck half open. He came into a door that led into the impressive part of the institution, thought the MDs. Hello, I would like an argument, please. Hello, and what makes you think that? I think you're stupid. You can't start instantly. If you want an argument, you're going to have to fight for it. I'm scared to argue with smart people. You can't just whip up an argument from anything. It requires sacrifice of goats. No, it doesn't. Typical. If you think it doesn't require goats, what do you think? It's always been this way? Everyone knows. The quest is palpable, the knowledge of goats' estate. You're just in university. Goats aren't governmental funded assets. James won in goat logic, but was aggressively distracted into another argument, and then some personal attacks. Your mother was a slanderous hockey enthusiast and lost in winter arguments. Your father smelt of elderberries. James didn't back down. The hockey was never watched on weekdays, and my drunk father only drank the best whiskey. You smell like whiskey. James smelled his armpit sexily. Butter-covered ferrets. You look stupid in directions, undreamed, and poetry forced to read. Just thinking you could have an argument here made you lose this one. You are a toaster in the bathtub of responsibility. All right, you have advanced this session. You can now go to the job insulting and presumptuous room. To the room where we magically record the show, farting on gnomes for Ironjar peace and prosperity. You know it's strange thing I have, said the argumenting echelon. I have this ability to see the future, predict things through interpretation and intuition, but only silly things. You have 100% accuracy? When silly things happen, I have seen it before all the time. Going against your nature changes it. As he exited, he saw the patient pick up a banana high in his hand, scream like some kind of intelligent animal, and whack him with it, wrestle the psychologist. There was no chill thus, as the next alchemy lesson was alcohols and bombs. James' mind felt ravaged, but repaired like repairing from stressing. Hydrogen dragon bombs cover your opponent in the toxic liver kidneys of the aquatic lizard. Looks like a crocodile, doesn't it? Except it breathes blue fire. It sticks like blue jelly, doesn't really come off, and in 2 minutes renders the target paralyzed and unconscious. It needs dwarf obsidian liquor, bard's bleat, red nightshade belladonna, dragon intestines, mixed scales, red phosphorus, red sulfur, and a rune, said adventurous eye sorcerer. We're also going to make dragons nitroglycerin, which is the cannonball elves use in their dragon siege. It is the premier explosive. It is chemically very close to ADHD medicine. James read the book Vegan Hamburgers and Elven Explosives. Nitroglycerin is unstable. It needs a primer to ignite safely. The primer is pressure-sensitive graphite that hit your target fast. Next time we're going to learn a hiding spell that is so good you also dodge responsibility. James looked at the gargoyle that was playing chess with a tree with an elf outside. Hugo had bought a bunny ear white hood that looked really cute. He looked like the all-father of Jim Rabbits with his chest. Arnaud told him how's basic elemental magics going and Duckard stuff? You're going for the basics, said James, like not showing his colors, barely judging faster than one can notice. I'm going for highest grade in everything. I'm learning faster than a millionaire's job cutting grass. I have to learn the basics. I was never allowed to learn magic where I'm from. I'm deformed, half gargoyle, half fiend. Looking stupid was enough. There's nothing preventing my genius of 138, he said, slurred and with cerebral parsley. I know how it's like, said James. being a genius. He had gray muscles, formidable, despite being deformed, a jaw that was rounded and girthy white eyes. Different gargoyles are made from different stones, magnesium, copper, and calcium. So if I eat, it can restore my stabbing resistance. Crushing weapons are stronger. Maybe I should get a chainmail hee. My aunt is a bodybuilder nun. She would squash all in my grand suffering, but I do not dare allow her. Father is a marble gargoyle, smooth with red eyes. Don't hold your enemies. Stepping on deer. In the university top tower, there's a portrait portal that teleports you anywhere, well, to a random location on Ironjar.
No respect, Lars.
Enter magical history. James sat down with wizards and creatures of every kind of ear, nose, and cheek, confusion on the 5-dimensional university schedule. Forget everything you know. Okay, said Arnaud. Suddenly, he turned animalistic and hamster-like, amazed with his surroundings like a fool. Where am I? Are you always here? I feel like I want to represent a country. It feels great, but I don't know which one it is. It's Denmark, said James. Because the first dwarf was Magellan Blackbane thus. He was short, shorter than dodging and superior agility with a flatter head, cloven black beard that was long enough to go to his knees, then braided into the beard back again, in beautiful circles. Didn't have shorter legs to arms. Built like a linebacker, his warhammer was a kingly smith's hammer, a mixture between red and gemmed gold, a tell of dwarven health, his hair balding since 30. Egregiously, he lived on, always adaptable for new things, new ideas, kind to new people, new investments. For 100 years, his line could live. Blessed with natural long life, top strength and endurance. Quicker when you had to run away from tall, shadowy onlookers. Fate looking out for them. The line of Magellan spread and conquered. They were energetic and always in surprisingly good health, no matter the mead and meat, resistant. For they were resilient like there was no saturated fat. They could beat the meaty diet and die from another reason. Dwarves befriended the continent and animals, and sometimes didn't actually build underground. From Scotland, they came with Highland weaponry, black powder muskets, and superior steam technology. Black dwarves settled in desert, thought to be mostly extinct. They were known for their trade, sandships, and universities. They always had black hair and white irises, gray skin that felt like scorched leather, and used spells and runes to tame the deserts. The sandships conquered the fray and wilderness, glid on the sand and over sand dunes said to go through impossibly to the land of the dead and into time where enemy ships were near. There's some truth to it. Some ships were cursed and always won the battles, but they could never claim their treasure, says the legend, like a hyena spilling bones. One guess is that they would not be able to continue existing. They wore machines on deck and under, including mechanical Greek giant arms on the ship, which might have distributed chemical fire. The first enemy of Blackbane is said to be the necromancer Dragundra. She had conquered the first colony of dwarves painfully, dark magic, and had to be defeated by Magellan himself. She summoned an army of the dead walking near infinite, with such a mana level and necromancy hitherto undreamed, and thus he could not get through the speed of the summoning cowardly. He realized he would have to fight through this danger, like the Einhender tide. Every summoning skill exhausts, has at least a temporary limit. He had to patiently deal with every single undead. He fought with impeccable running away strategy. They kept following him. He fought backwards, keeping a few open spaces. She ran away still when possible with agile, annoying, evil steps. The summons could not fight like its master, and the dwarf defense was strong, the shield round and thick. She had daggers and swords she threw like flurry, a knife for everyone, so concerned with godhood. Magellan danced stubbornly, confidently, and deflected as many times she could be stubborn +1. In the end, she only had her words against Magellan and was smashed into an ingot and sold for 750 quid. Everyone knows it was 750 quid. Deeds, actions beat words here and inspires every dwarf to be pure of heart and not eat gluten. Magellan had the patience to make a kingdom and protect it. The children of Magellan were Marcus, Manly Mark, Mandric, and Merthana. It is said you can still see the lineage of Magellan in the potato shape of their noses, speech, and frisk obvious longevity. You don't know unless they are older than 150 through. Who knows, they could be sat on by an ogre. The dwarves mined and delved. Masons built cities in mountains and under. Blessed craftsmanship, fletching, statues for everything and smithing. Fate weave, May shooting star gleamed in their halls, adamant floor, mithril roof, and on the battlefield like extra-colored impressionism. Dwarves are friends of the smallest rodents like hamsters and the largest capybaras. Mount different beasts rather than horses. Worst case, smaller horses. So much to choose from. There is said to be new, stronger generations of dwarves every few hundred years, if they're not slain in war or sicknesses targeted to dwarves. Eventually, they will be stronger than elves. Not everyone has been tolerant of dwarves, just like some women have length standards. They have fought to survive and just to be who they are. The second enemy of dwarves were the elves in the first age of dwarves counting. They thought they could capitalize on the dwarves when they were small, easy prey, resourceful plunder. Aggressively, and without consciousness, the battle superior, elves attacked. The elves had their wild beast bows, but the dwarves had indomitable, perfect defense. Some dwarves can be so defense-oriented it's ridiculous, using ingots and formations, turning them into metal beasts, plus magical defense. We've never heard the secrets. More defensive battle formations together. Spells from God, Dwarf, Ranger of luck, cursing the enemy. Dwarf defense, runes, plus steel, plus magical, layered defense. The battles went back, and the outcome was hard to interpret. Still was much to be risked. The elves were cocky against the mechanical war machines and defense structures, metal scorpions, petards, thought it would not be a problem, thought they could beat it with skill. All dwarf skill and magic related to the indomitable defense. At the most even point at Fortress Indomitable beyond the Silver Fjords, a giant tree on an ocean hosting all the superior military of the elves. Dwarf assassins took out every single military leader. Stabbed their way evenly, they realized the people would be replaced auxiliary. Elf generals were upset and palmed their hand as they got assassinated a second time. The dwarves took back their lands. The superior offensive siege went well.
No, I
In a
don't feel
blur
like
thus,
it.
every battle was a victory. They never lost much more again underground. They have mined deeper thus. Next, we have a history of laziness. Don't fall asleep. Keep your eyes peeled. It's a short, concentrated commodity, and to the point, then a history of eating lethargic cheese and delicacy drinks. I know of a warrior who doesn't eat, only drinks sake. His sword unsheaths sober enough every time he doesn't need anything else. An eagle only needs steak. Just like me, said Arnaud, did I only need. James, as a historian,
Let's
were triggered
open
and
some
ambitious
keys.
hearing such tales. They might be extinct on Earth, but has anyone else tried Einhenger or another plane? Einhenger is explored enough, said the teacher. There are enemies, but the deserts do not hide dwarves. Keep exploring dungeons, or the barbarian history, James the Dungeoneer, said a shrewd, top-hat classmate top of his class. Heaviest matter thus is a silver steel technique, said thus Ignatus. You will be bulkier and square. There is also an overgrowth steel version prominent, but drains maximum life. This steel granite monster can only be damaged by a sword dropped in 1,000 wells by imbeciles or magic. Thus, really advanced potions of a different level.
Wow.
There are wizards who regenerate mana like taking a shit, fear not.
Wow,
Thus,
Peter.
there are elves who chug all their mana
Wow.
potions,
Wow.
spending their bucks just to defeat one enemy. Thus, you will learn to make mana restoration potions. Save on each swing. You will improve your skill for years with this potion.
I'm gonna feed you up
Perfect
until
at
you
like
get
rewriting a
really
solo
fat.
thus. Improve 100 times. When I tell you to cut the jumping baked beans precisely, or the
There's
cattail
something I have to
stalks,
do with my coffee.
there are many ingredients, 16 things fit 16 ways, or you can experiment for margins. They had one of the forest wizards of Ixalig. He changed color depending on the forest and also his emotions. His team of forest wizards had actually defeated Dragon's Nest, only air magic challenge. Is the potential for mana potions thus reached a potential? Pretty much, unless we come unto a new discovery. Science is only true until the next thing. You can make an equation of that. Only true caret latest thing asterisk reasonable time frame. The animals are dangerous and hard to find. There's the arcane underbite ape hooded in the jungle. Where's the jungle anyway? There's magical gardens and dimensions closer. Does this answer your question? I wanted to have a greater understanding of locations or something. There are multiple jungles and primate species. There's the jungle before the grand, deep-frying desert. There's oil boiling like moisture, a primate island. The jungles are not in the center of the equator. Necessarily, it is plenty hot. The arcane ape taught its brothers to fly, or well hover long enough to become gorilla missiles. Explosive is the impact. There are howler monkeys with great affection for magical missile and reducing your defense. Sports and greed star Dast is terribly confused by a love potion.
61.5 keys per
Don't leave
house.
any windows open. Someone fell by the window as he said this. I think that was Richard. No, that was Peter. Peter is
Sorry,
gay,
YouTube.
don't you remember?
I want to
The giant leaf grass is dampening enough. We keep
look at
planting more to
YouTube
keep
now
up with
with
the people.
there's music in the videos usually.
That
and
looks
that
cozy.
means I can't stream to YouTube. Sorry,
It is like the
stupid,
throw
isn't it?
someone out of a window spell. Harbinger,
You can
it's very
come to
powerful. The
Twitch
noose.
or Kick.
Take it on the
Press
class
Rich
course,
Killer
for
Rabbit. You
example.
can keep watching. Come watch
The
sometime.
class course was sucked out of the window, like no pressure. Love potions have to be spiked with alcohol. Many cause mania. As you know, there are masterful levels like irrefutable Illicus. Yes, wizards have to be terribly confused.